that 3 talented white police officers, and if you think about this story, you can flip it round to say 20 or 30 years ago, 3 talented black police officers were overlooked for a white person to be promoted. It's all gone the other way around.
I'm not sure that ever happened. Definitely not 20, 30 years ago. It may have happened in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. I bet there was a headline on that 20, 30 years ago, though.
Oh, yeah.
There will have been,
Yeah. Headlines like all the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think you and I have talked. I remember the 80s and the 90s as a brown man in London and in Manchester. I didn't experience any racism. So here, 3 white police officers were basically overlooked to be promoted from sergeant to detective inspector for an Asian candidate.
Yeah.
And they weren't even invited to interviews. These
weren't
guys
allowed to apply.
Weren't allowed to apply. And the superintendent from the force was told to make it happen, to promote an Asian person to be detective inspector.
Yeah.
So this isn't one where they were all interviewed and there was a process and it was like, oh, the Asian guys got through, but I'm not quite sure looking at it. It wasn't like other point systems. They weren't even allowed to apply, these guys, and they were better than the Asian guy. Now, this is happening now, isn't it? It's here.
It's been happening for a long time. We've had it with the Royal Air Force, who were found guilty of not employing white pilots. It's happened to other police forces. I think Liverpool, Merseyside was one of them, where they were found guilty of not recruiting white new police officers. This has been happening all the time, but for a couple of decades now. It's coming more and more into the public knowledge now because they're becoming more and more blatant about it. Where before a lot of it would be underhand, where now they feel untouchable and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then it gets to court and they find out, that wasn't the right thing to do. It's against the law.
Yeah, but everybody else is telling me it is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
The government's telling me the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the government's doing it, aren't they, with their 2-tier policing? You know, Asian people aren't prosecuted for committing violent crimes. White people are. So why don't we just promote an Asian person regardless to that role?
And it started with women. It started with overlooking men to recruit more women and promote more women. That's why we have so many crap female chief constables across the country, because they only got the job because they were women and they were fast-tracked up the promotions to become chief constables and higher police officers. We had the British Transport Police a couple of months ago saying they were getting rid of the bleep test for new recruits. The bleep test is when you run in the gym following a light. And and they've stopped doing that because the women find it hard to pass. So they've cancelled it to get more women joining, and we keep doing this to all our institutions. We don't recruit the best anymore now. We want to recruit people in silos. We need so many blacks, so many gays, so many women, so many white men, so many Asians, so many disabled. And it's like, that's not how you recruit. You recruit on the basis of merit.
Yeah, and what it does for our country as well, it creates mediocre organisations and businesses, doesn't it? And, you know, whatever it might be.
It also creates racism, because that means when me and you go for a job at the same company and I think I'm better than you and then you get it and I go, that's because you're called Khan.
Yeah.
And that's my... Yeah. So then I resent you.
Yeah.
And everyone treats you like that, then go, you only got the job because your name's Khan. And it might turn out you were the best person for that, but we've already sowed the seed of doubt.
Yeah.
That, you know, I've worked with many black police officers who were fantastic.
Yeah.
But I also know, I've got some stories about it. I remember one PCSO, African born, came over here, became a PCSO, and he was terrible. They found him asleep in the police station several times instead of on the beat. He got arrested for domestic violence, kept his job. He got arrested drunk driving, kept his job. And I said to his inspector, why don't you sack him? He went, Nick, I cannot sack a black PCSO because I'd need a lot more than that. And they ended up sacking him because he started fraudulently putting in overtime. And because of that was a clear-cut case.
Yeah, that's an
because it's like
there's nothing to do with his colour or whatever.
You did not work those dates. He also put down.
It's actually fraud. That.
Yeah. So then they sacked him on that, but didn't sack him for domestic violence. Didn't sack him for drink driving. Didn't sack him for falling asleep several times in the police station when he should have been working. And that's because they wanted to retain him. I've got half a dozen stories.
I won't mind applying for that job actually on the basis of the colour of my skin. It sounds like a good one. Drunk driving. Yeah. You know, sleeping on the job. It sounds good.
Exactly.
And I think that the point I want to make here is exactly what you just made here that you end up with mediocre people running good organisations.
And haven't we got that now?
And we are seeing exactly. So there's 3 examples I want to talk about. One is a personal example that I told you about, and I've got to be very careful here. But I'm not even going to talk what the profession is about. But there was a person that we had to employ, an external person. And when I walked into the room, he was a black man, and I was immediately thought, please let him be talented, not a DEI hire. Yeah. He turned out to be a DEI hire. He was dreadful. End of story. I won't give any more detail than that. The 2 other examples, which are very, very recent. Firstly, in the UK, I think she's called Dame Sharon Jones, I can't remember her name, a black woman who was appointed to be the chairman of John Lewis.
Oh, yes.
Now, she came from the public sector.
Yep.
She had no experience in retail.
Yep.
She had a good profile, and she's probably very good at talking bollocks in the public sector. She had a good profile in the public. She nearly destroyed John Lewis.
Yep.
In a matter of 3 or 4 years, basically. John Lewis went from being a leading business where the staff got bonuses every year.
That stopped now.
No
money now to give people bonuses.
And then she was quite...
Yay, we've got a black boss. Yeah, got no fucking bonus though.
And she was quite... And that isn't... this isn't, by the way, gentle viewers, this isn't racism. She had no experience.
In retail.
You would never employ somebody like that in such a senior position without experience. She was employed for one reason only, that she was black and she was a woman. Sorry, that's 2 reasons.
Yeah.
2 reasons only, she was black and she was a woman.
Very intelligent.
Yeah.
Had a great career in the public sector.
Yeah.
But their board were going... Do you want to make us look even better?
Yeah.
If we had a black woman running this now.
Yeah.
So we got an opportunity, give it to a black woman.
Yeah.
She's got a great CV, but not for retail.
Yeah. And
they took her on and she almost ruined.
She nearly destroyed the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came close, I think. I don't know where it is at the moment. That's a recent example in the UK. An incredibly recent example in America. Yeah. The head of the Secret Service.
Yeah.
A woman who I think was on the board of Pepsi-Cola. I'm not quite sure what it was. She was from an unrelated industry, put in charge of the American Secret Service, and Trump nearly died as a result. Yeah. There's a direct correlation there.
Absolutely.
Between her employment and a senior political figure, a former president, nearly dying. I mean, it's scandalous. But how many other organisations, both in America and in the UK, are now populated with senior people who've got there as a result of their sex, colour or religion?
Yeah. Why do you think nothing works in this country?
Yeah.
Why do you think nothing works? Why does the NHS not work? Why does our army not work? Why does, councils not work? It's because they're nearly all run by DEI hires. That's not to say the people at the top are stupid. They're clever, but they just weren't the best.
Yeah.
So we're missing out on the best all the time. So everything starts to crumble, and the people under them are DEI hires. So their middle managers are crap. The people they employ are crap. And the good people working in it just give up and leave because I can't work in this scenario, this environment where everything's crap.
Yeah.
And nothing works anymore.
So, I do. It's kind of... You look at that and you do start to despair, really, because as you say, we've seen some very visible examples of DEI hires failing dramatically. We're now getting tangible evidence of it there. And
what's a top job in this country?
The Prime Minister.
There we go. So recently, we've had 2 women, May and Truss, both in disasters.
Yeah.
We had Boris Johnson. His only saving grace was he got Brexit done, but apart from that, complete disaster. And then we had...
Yeah, but I don't think you think he's a diversity hire?
No, but I wanted to mention, because that's otherwise people think, you didn't mention Boris Johnson, but he was crap anyway. But
Nick mentioned Boris Johnson.
And Rishi Sunak, brown man. And that's how he went up in politics, because he was
brown man with an ill-fitting suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had, out the last, before Starmer, we had 4 prime ministers. 3 of them were diversity hires to a certain extent. And Liz Truss was definitely a diversity hire. If you listen to her interview on Trigonometry, what's the word I'm looking for? She's autistic.
Really?
I didn't know how hard it was going to be being Prime Minister. I didn't. What do you mean? You didn't know these things? You've been a politician for decades. You've moved up the ranks. How did you not know these things? Well, I didn't know the Bank of England weren't going to be happy. How did you not know these things? It was the Trigonometry interview was the most annoying interview I've ever seen. I've never.
And embarrassing for her.
Yeah, she was a diversity hire. She was a woman, and she got promoted up because she was a woman, and then for some reason she became Prime Minister, and it all fell apart. When these diversity hires are tested, they all fail. But if they're not tested, they can cruise along for a long time. Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.